All right. Well, hello, good morning again, and welcome to the second session in our TrendSoft user group event. Once again, my name is Bobby Haggard. I'm one of the consultants here at TrendSoft. Let's first make sure everyone's logged into the correct session. This is session number 2, titled Maximize Power BI's Reporting Options. In this session, we're going to show you how to leverage Power BI to get the most from your Dynamics data. We'll show you how to clean and prepare your data, create charts, visualizations, and other reports from various data sets. And finally, we'll cover a bit on pricing and how to publish and share those reports to others in your company. Now, a couple housekeeping notes, again, before we get started here. First, we went ahead and muted those phones, trying to keep down that background noise. Please, 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 if you have questions, use that Q&A feature within the Zoom webinar tool. Callie Wagner and Tara Cox are helping to manage the Q&A for us for the session. There should be 5 or 10 minutes at the end to help address some of those questions. Secondly, if you'd like a presentation, the copy of the slides or the video recording, once they become available, please just drop your email into the Q&A. We'll know what that means, and we'll definitely get those sent your way. And then finally, at the conclusion of the session, you should receive an evaluation. You'll have until Friday to get that completed. Once it's completed, you'll be entered for a drawing that we're going to be having early next week for a giveaway. All right, let's jump in with a quick poll real quick to understand kind of how you guys are doing reporting today. So the poll should be launched, should be coming up, and it says, how does your organization do reporting and KPIs, key performance indicator dashboards today? We talked with different people a lot, say it's manual, it takes forever, and by the time we get done, it's already old news. Or maybe it's something you do within Excel, it's very manual, or maybe you use a reporting tool like Jet or something like that. Or it's, it's something you export from the system, kick it to Excel, and then you have to manually update or format along the way. Or maybe use something different altogether. And so definitely getting a lot of feedback, definitely seeing some using Jet reports, some saying it's a very manual exercise within Excel, which we're absolutely seeing, and a lot of formatting of those systems as they come out. So definitely great feedback there from you guys. So definitely appreciate that information for us. All right, let's jump right in here to the presentation. Again, once you registered, you saw the various user group sessions that are out there for us today. Obviously, we're in the Power BI one. If you are a Dynamics GP user and you happen to miss that first session, don't worry, we have recorded those. And if you'd like that, just let us know. We'll get you in contact with the video once it's available. If you are interested in our Trendform session or in our Business Central sessions coming later this afternoon, please go to trendsoft.com and just register for those, and you should receive those connection information for you. All right, we're going to bring back Matt Wood again. He's going to talk about Power BI. For those of you that don't know, although I believe most of you probably do, Matt is our Dynamics project manager and team lead. He's been with us about 10 years. Lots of great experience with Power BI, Dynamics GP, Nav, and Business Central. So with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Matt.
All right, welcome everybody here for, as we said, the Power BI portion of our user group today. Just to reiterate, I am Matt Wood. I'm the Dynamics team lead here at TrendSoft, and we will be taking a look at Power BI today. So let me start my slideshow. And let's take a look at the agenda first. So we're going to be covering a few topics here related to Power BI, and it's going to be a pretty quick crash course with the focus mostly on our third point there. But we're going to start with some Power BI licensing. A little bit confusing to some people, so we want to make sure everybody understands what that is. We'll take a quick look at preparing our data. Then we're going to spend most of our time here in the building the report and the publishing piece for today's session. All right, so let's start with some licensing, and we'll start pretty high level, and then we'll get a little more detailed. So the first thing that we're going to look at is a free license versus a Power BI Pro license. So obviously the free one is free. The Power BI Pro does cost $9.99 per user per month. But the thing to remember is within your organization, not everybody needs that Power BI Pro. So let's talk about what those two licenses can do. So first of all, the free license, we can create reports and pretty much do everything I'm going to show you today, with the exception of publishing those reports to a premium workspace. And what does that premium workspace give us? Well, what that gives us is the ability for a free user to view reports that I publish. So basically, I can create these reports, and I could even share these reports through a file, almost similar to what Excel looks like. But I'm not going to be able to publish them out to the Power app.Power BI and have people collaborate with me. I will be the only one that can see those unless I physically share the Power BI file. And then again, it's more like an Excel file in that scenario. Also, with the free license, I can view reports that are created by a premium user. So if a premium user publishes it out to a premium workspace and I only have a free license, I can still view those reports. So if we have users within our organization that don't need to particularly design reports or publish them, but they do need to consume what's in them, they need to see the reports, or maybe even you put them up on a TV somewhere. A free user can do that. Then as we get into the Power BI Pro, so again it's $9.99 per user per month. Except it does come if you have Office 365 E5. If you're up in the E5 level, that does come with it. But this gives us the ability to do everything the free license can do, but also publish those reports out to a premium user or out to a premium workspace. So if we look at the illustration here, you can see we've got the user that's got the Power BI Pro license, and they've designed the reports, and then they're going to publish those reports out. So they could publish them out to a shared capacity, which is not premium. And you'll notice that a pro user could also see those as well. So the pro users can see even if it's not in a premium workspace. But if that pro user then goes and designs a report and publishes it out to a premium capacity location, then my users with free licenses can consume those. So that's the main difference, right? So I can publish and other pro users can see it, but if I am not a pro, I cannot put it here where other free users can see it. All right, let's go to the next slide here. So I just have a few slides and then we'll actually get into the program. So we talked about Power BI Pro and free. There's also two other additional license types. That's the Power BI Premium per user and then the Power BI Premium per capacity. So what do those give us compared to the Power BI Pro? So on our Pro, we're going to have mobile app access and we're going to be able to publish reports and share and collaborate with those, as we talked about a minute ago. With the premium user, we also have the ability to do RDL reports. And then with that per capacity license, I can consume content without a per user license. And I also have the ability to have an on-premise BI server. So in every license except the per capacity, everything's going to be hosted up on the cloud through Microsoft. But if you do go with the very highest level, which is the per capacity, then you can have a report server. I will point out too that in the per capacity, you do work directly with Microsoft there, and then it's more of an enterprise level, and they'll set that pricing for you. A couple more things here on this. So this is more related to the actual reports. So again, we're looking at Pro here on my left side, per user premium, and then a per capacity premium here. So first one on there, model size limit. So we've got a gig of space to build reports. So each of our report files can be up to a gig in the Power BI Pro world. We go up to 100 gig in our premium, and then the premium per capacity, we can go all the way up to 400. Another important one is this refresh rate. So in the refreshing, I can set up a report to auto refresh if I want to. At any time, I can manually refresh, and there's no limit based on this. But if I want to auto refresh things, I do have a limit. So with the Power BI Pro, I can do those 8 times a day, and then you can see with the premiums, I can go up to 48 times a day. Then we get some things that are similar, right? I can connect to multiple data sources, which we'll talk about there, hundreds of them actually. I can create reports and visualizations with Power BI Desktop. I can embed APIs. I have AI visuals. What the other premiums give us is advanced AI, some XML endpoint, data flows, and then the ability to get to data that's out on an Azure data lake. All right, so one more on our license here. So we have, so you may already be using Power BI and you don't know which one you have. So to find that, if you go out to your apps.powerbi.com and you go up to your right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see your user avatar up there. It might just be your initials, but you can click on that. And once you do that, it's going to drop this down, what you're seeing here in this visual. And it'll tell you right here whether you're running a free account, a pro account, a premium account, and then you have the ability to purchase that pro right from there as well. All right, so that's our licensing. So let's move into some data prep now. So we're making our way through. We've got our licensing. Now we're ready to start creating reports. And the first thing we got to do is start to prep that data. We've got to get that data out of wherever it is and into Power BI. And then we may need to clean that data up. So the first question that we always need to ask is, once we know what we're going to build, where does that data live? So does it live in my ERP, either Business Central, GP? Does it live in a CRM system, a Salesforce, a Dynamics 365 cell? Is it in an Excel file? Is it in an Access database? Or maybe this report I need to pull from all of those locations. So first thing I got to know is, where is that data and which system is it in? Then taking it down a level from that, once I know which system I'm going to be working with, which tables does that data live in? So I need to know, okay, I'm doing a sales report, so I need to probably pull the customer table and then a sales header and a sales line table. Maybe I need to pull in commissions. Maybe I need to bring in payment methods. Maybe I need to bring in inventory because I need to be able to do some analysis on the items I'm selling, for example. So now, once we've got, here's the system it lives in or systems, here's all the tables that I'm going to need. And I can even take it a step further if I want and start to think about which fields of those tables do I need to pull into this report. I usually kind of like list out, here's all my systems that I'm going to be using for this report. And then here's all the tables. And then from there, I can then I'm ready to go when I get to BI and I'm not doing a lot of hunt and pecking to create those reports. So then, first, now that I know where it lives, I need to make sure I have access to it in that system, right? So if I'm a GP user, I need to make sure I have access to those tables that I'm going to be pulling data from. But once I know that I've got all that, I've got access to those tables, I know where it lives, and I'm ready to pull them in. Now, I'm in BI at this point. How do I get them into BI? So there's multiple ways I can access that data. So I have built-in connectors, and you can see in my picture here to the right, there are hundreds of these, and you'll just see a list there. You got SharePoint, NAV, Business Central, GP will be on here somewhere, Azure, Salesforce, Google Analytics. So lots of built-in connectors. Now with those built-in connectors, they are built in, and the fields that you're going to see in those and the tables are going to be based on what is provided. So if I'm trying to pull from a custom table or potentially I've got a custom field, those may not be in the built-ins. I might need to do it a different way. Next way is just through a simple file, right? I can have an Excel file, text file, JSON, so forth. So these are just files that live in a space, and I'm going to point up to them and connect to them to pull data. Now, those, when I refresh, obviously are going to be what's in that file. So you take a built-in connector who's connected directly up to an ERP table, let's say. When I run that and I do transactions in my ERP and I hit refresh, my Power BI report is going to refresh with them. With Excel, it's obviously going to be, if I do something in my ERP and then I didn't update the Excel and I hit refresh in Power BI, I'm not going to get anything updated there. The Excel file needs to be saved, and then you refresh it and you can see it. So that's the other option, is file. And for simplicity today, I'm going to use Excel and text files for this particular exercise. Mainly just because we've got people from multiple systems, so just to keep it simple, we're going to use Excel. Another option is a direct database connection. So I can just connect directly up to SQL, for example, or Access, and I can hit those tables direct. And again, that's based off the security that I have to those databases. So I would just simply put in my connection information for that particular database, and then all the tables would fall in, and I could select the ones I want to use for the report. Another option is APIs. So again, APIs, web services, something like that. It's going to be more of a what they call an OData connection. And it's really more just a URL. So I'm going to have a URL that's connected to an API or a web service, and I'm going to paste that into Power BI when I bring it in, and it's going to pull that data that's a part of that API. That's pretty typical when you look at like a Business Central. There's lots of web services out there, and I might grab that URL from Business Central, paste it in, and then I'm going to have connection up to the table that web service or API was connected to. And then our last option is the custom connectors. So the custom connectors is just that, right? It's a custom thing that's built by a developer who's going to say, you're going to go tell them, here's what we need. They're going to build that custom connector, and then you'll connect that way. Those are obviously a little more advanced, and typically you can get to most of your data without those, but that is an option out there. All right, so that's it for my slides. So we're going to actually now get into a little bit of the building of the report here. Let me jump out of here, and let's go to this first. So this is what we're going to build today. I just wanted to show you what that final product's going to look like. So once we get done here today, we're going to have something that looks similar to this. It may not be exactly the same as I build it, but it's going to be similar to this. And this is going to be sales data. And you can see there. And then we're going to have another section that's going to be a little more detailed that we're going to look at as well, along with some commission. All right. But before I get into the actual building, let's talk through the Power BI desktop, just so you're familiar with what you're looking at. It's similar to a Excel, Word program, right? And I can simply just go out, type in Power BI desktop in Google, and it'll take me to the download. It is free to download and free to use with that free license. So I've got this here, and I've got my ribbon up top. So again, just like Excel, Word, I've got ribbons, and then I've got sections within those ribbons that have certain things I can do. So I've got my home tab where I can pull some data, I can create measures, publish, whatever I need to do. I've got my insert where I've got new visuals I can add question and answers, things like that. My modeling, which mainly I'm going to be doing relationships. I can set some security up. And then my view where I can change the themes. I can add a mobile layout. I can put filters, slicers in there as well. And then of course the help that we're used to seeing. Down on our left side, we've got our different action buttons. So I've got the report here, which obviously is what we're looking at. If I click here, this is my table data view. So I've got my tables so I can actually see the data behind what's making these reports up. And as I click through, you can see those data pieces changing. And then the last one is my relationships. So I can manage these relationships here. If I'm pulling in multiple tables, multiple files like I am here, I do need these relationships set up. Now, typically, when I bring these in, Power BI is smart enough to try to guess what those are, and a lot of times it is correct. So it will, put name with name, for example, and connect these for you. But you do want to review this because if they're not correct, then you'll see some weird data once you get there. All right, so back over here to our report. Down on the bottom, we have tabs. So just like in Excel, I can add additional tabs for multiple reports within one particular file. So I've kind of got my dashboard here and then my details on this one, but I could add additional ones by just clicking that new page. All right, and then on my right side, I've got three sections. I've got the field section. So as I expand these different tables, here's all the fields, and this is how I select them and bring them into the report. And then I have my visualizations, which is where I'm going to add, a pie chart, bar chart, maps. And I have these by default. So these are my default ones. There's more in the App Store, but these are the ones that come with the system. I can hit here, get more visuals. I can develop my own visuals. So if I have developers on house, or you can call us and we can help too, you can create visuals from a file. And then the last one here is my filter section. So this is where I'm going to set filters if I need to. As I click here, you can see those filters come in based off the report, and I can set those. All right, so that is our section here in the Power BI desktop. Now we have a similar app out in a web-based version. So if I click here and I come into, this is Microsoft Edge, you can see I've got the same report, but it's out in a web-based in the app.powerbi.com. And I can edit those just like I could in my Power BI desktop. I can make changes there as well. It's not quite as powerful, you don't have the Power Queries or your things like that. But for the most part, once I get the data prepped, I can build these reports out here, make changes, view them just like I could in the Power BI desktop. All right, so back in the desktop here, and now what I'm going to do is just go to a blank one. So we're going to try to build that report now, just like we did with what you were seeing there. So the first thing we would do, now I've already done this just to save some time, is bring in our data, but I want to show you how that's done. So up here in my get data, I can hit here. If I'm pulling from Excel, obviously I would choose that. I can also click more here, and that's going to give me all my options. So if I click more, that's going to pop it up. You can see I'm in all. If I start scrolling, you can see there are lots of choices. But we're going to do Excel and text actually here. So all I would do is click connect from Excel. And when I do that, it would pop up and ask me which file do you want to bring in. So I would be bringing in this one for my Excel. And then I would do the same thing if I was bringing in text. So I can hit that, hit connect. And again, I'm going to browse out to my text file and bring that in. Now to save time, like I said, I went ahead and did that. Now when I do that though, it's going to bring my data in, and I do have an option to try to make some changes. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but I do want to go into this transform data, and this is called Power Query. So like I said, we're going to go kind of crash course here. If you're interested in Power Query some more, we actually did a webinar a couple months back that was strictly on Power Query. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm sure Bobby or Tara can put you in the right direction. Or you can go out to our YouTube page and you'll see the full 45-minute presentation strictly on the Power Query. But I did want to talk about it just for a minute. So in the Power Query piece of this, now this is a Power BI tool as well as it's an Excel. So anywhere you're using data, massaging data, cleaning data, Power BI is definitely an option and a very good one to make your changes. So again, I pulled in 2 files. This one was the text file, and then these 4 were actually all tabs on an Excel file. So I've got a commissions table, sales header table, sales line table, salesperson, and payment terms. Now in Power Query, what's nice is I can move things around. I can sort things different. I can go ahead and filter if I want to, all right here in Power Query, so that I'm already filtered before I go and build my reports. I can change the type. So you can see this is a percentage, but if I wanted it to be something different, a decimal, I can make those changes. And sometimes when you pull it in, it might guess wrong on what the format should be. So you may need to come in and make that change for it. The other thing I can do is I can add columns. So if I want to take a new column, maybe I'm doing some kind of math over here on like sales line where I'm multiplying quantity by price or something, and I need to get a new value, I can do that. I can also do merge queries. So if I have multiple sources from lots of different areas and I kind of want to get them all in a flat one table, I can use a merge query. I think what we called it even on that webinar was it's almost like a VLOOKUP on steroids. So it's just giving you a lot more ability, and you can do that instead of a VLOOKUP in Excel if you want to. So this is Power Query. Again, I'm not gonna, obviously that was just a quick overview of what it does. If you want to know more and you want to see those details, I would recommend going out and checking out that webinar that we did a few months ago. All right. Also, before I forget, because I'm on that topic, as part of that webinar, it was a 3-part series. So we did Power Query, kind of prepping your data as the first one. The second one was building your report. So what I'm about to do, I'm going to show some of that, what we did, but again, we're crushing this into a small time frame, so I'm not going to do everything, so you may want to check that one out. And then the last one we did was a publishing one where we showed publish. Now, and so you can check that one out. I'm going to do a little bit of publishing, but again, if you want more detailed walkthroughs, that's where you want to go. All right, so I'm going to just close this down because I didn't make any changes, and we're going to start to build our report. So again, remember, we're going to try to replicate this right here as we're building this. So the first thing you notice, it was a gray background. So I'm going to go ahead and set that background to match what we have here. So I'm going to go underneath the visualization tab. I'm going to hit this format painter. I'm going to go to our page back. Actually, now I want to go to wallpaper, and I'm going to set that color. So I'm going to make it this gray color. And there we go. We've got our background wallpaper in gray. All right, so then the first thing we're going to add is an amount by salesperson pie chart. So we want to know who is selling and who and what are they selling. So we're going to bring in a pie chart. So I'm just going to simply click that, and it's going to put it onto my canvas over here. And then I'm going to grab the salesperson from the sales header because I want to know who those salespeople were. I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to grab the line amount from my line section. Right there. All right, so I've got that. So it's pulled it in. I can then make this a little bit bigger if I want. Make that bigger, but I'm probably going to wait for a minute and see what everything else looks like once I get it on there. But I do want to make the background similar. So I'm going to come here again to my format painter, and I'm going to go to my background, and I'm going to set it to that same gray that I already had. So there's my amount by salesperson. I've added that to my dashboard, and we'll get that situated here in a minute. So then the next one I want to see is total by location. And then this one I'm going to do a bar chart. So I'm going to grab that. And I'm going to grab the sales header. Look for location here. And then come to my sales line and grab that amount again. So there is sales by location. I can see how each location is doing. So again, I'm going to make this gray in the back. So background, and we'll use that gray color again. All right, next one, amount by customer. So I'm going to grab our pie chart again. All we're looking for here is sales by customer. So again, I'm going my header, grabbing that customer name. My mouse will click. There we go. And then down under my sales lines, we're grabbing amount again. So pull that in and have a nice little pie chart looking at sales by customer. And again, I want to keep this looking nice, so I'm going to go ahead and add my background again to that same color we've been using. And we'll get these situated in a minute again. So these are easy to drag, resize, so I'm just going to pull them all in, and then we'll get them how we want them. Next one is our map one. So we want to see how did we sell by state in this case, and we're going to put it on a map so we can see what that visually looks like. So I'm going to grab that map one. We're going to grab state from the sales header into our location. And then we're going to grab amount and throw that into our size one. I got that down. All right, so there's our state. All right, I'm actually going to switch this. I want to use this one. There we go. So that's our average amount by state. And you can see that showing those hot spots throughout the country there. Next one, we're going to bring in the items here. So we want to know how much quantity are we selling to customers. So we're going to add a new one. And we're going to do another pie chart here. We'll grab customer again from here. And we're going to grab quantity from our sales line. All right. All right, total by month and payment term. So this one's going to give us a little bit of a way to do a predictive revenue. So we want to kind of know when are we expecting to get data. So we're going to grab a visualization right here. We're going to grab our customer, actually our posting date from our header. And we're going to get rid of year, quarter, and we're just going to keep it at month because we want to keep it a little bit easier to view. If we added all those other ones in, we'd have a little bit of trouble there. And then in our legend, we're going to put in our payment terms code. And in the values, we're going to throw in our total here. Okay, so on this one, I don't have a total. So what I'm going to actually do is add a field to my sales header because I want to be able to see what that total is. And on my header, I don't have that. So in order to do that, I'm going to actually go in and add a column here. So I'm going to go over here to my data. I'm going to go to my sales header. And I'm going to say new column. So I've got a new column. I'm going to call this total. And I'm going to cheat a little. I'm going to grab this and pull it over. And we're going to grab that column here. And just paste that in here so you can see it. All right, so we're just doing a calculate. Now, quickly on what this is. So this is DAX is what it's called. And DAX is the language that the Power BI uses, similar to like an Excel formula, right? So I'm saying total equals calculate, and then I'm summing up my lines from the amount column in my sales line table. So I'm going to hit enter there. It'll do its thing. And now I've got on my sales header table a nice view to my totals against in my sales header table, where before I didn't have any of that. So just quickly adding that, got that there for me. All right, so now back over here. If I look, there is my total now, and I can pull that into my values. So now I've got a nice view here. Based on my payment terms, this is kind of when we can expect to get paid. All right, so let's clean this up a little. We're going to add our background color to both of these. All right, and then we might move this around, just make this one a little bit smaller, for example. Shove this one up a little. Same with this one. We'll move amount up a little here. Shrink that down. I'll move my map over here if we grab the right spot. Bring that down. And then we'll extend this one out a little and bring it up here. Okay, so I've cleaned that up a little. We might actually make this one just so we don't have as much space there in the middle. We'll make this one a little bigger. Okay, so I've got that. Now, one thing I can do once I've got it built, you notice it gives it titles up here. So amount by salesperson, amount by customer. But I can change those as well. So again, on my format, I can come here and I can go to my title and I can change that. So if I wanted to make this sales by salesperson, I can do that, and I can change the font color. So if I wanted to see, like a blue there, doesn't look great. Maybe I want to go a dark purple or something. So I can do that again. So that's just really more for visual look, but it's pretty easy to do for that. Okay, so I've built my dashboard, and I'm going to give this a name here. So I'm going to rename it, and I'm going to call it dashboard. So I've got dashboard there, and now we're going to move into my second tab, and then we're going to call this one item details. So I'll go ahead and rename that one here, item details. And we want to get that same feel, so we're going to add a wallpaper here, and we're going to use that gray again as our background. All right, so we've got our gray there, and we're going to build 3 separate visualizations here. 2 of them are going to be list, and the other one is going to be a chart. So we're going to start with our item details. So we're going to just want to know what are we selling of each item, what's the quantities, and what's the amount. So we're going to go to our sales lines first. We're going to add number, and it's going to go ahead and guess that we wanted a table, which is great. So that's what we're using. That's our table. Next thing we want is amount, so we'll drag that in, and then we want quantity as our last one here. So we're going to grab that and pull that in. So now I've got a nice view of all my items. And at any point, I can then click and sort this however I want to see the differences listed here. All right, and let's make that gray just to keep ourselves consistent. All right. Next one on our list to do is quantity by customer name. So similar idea. We're going to build a bar chart. We're going to grab customer name, and we're going to grab quantity. All right, we'll make that a little bit bigger. And let's get our nice formatting here. We'll add our gray to the back. Okay, so one thing the reason I wanted to pull one of these in is just to show you the nice features between the visualizations. So they're actually talk to each other. So if I click on that item, notice that this changed. So now I see, okay, we've sold 353 to this ReCloud customer, a little bit to the School of Fine Art. Same thing if then I go click here, this changes. Now, what if I wanted to just click one of these? Now I can see everything I've sold to the School of Fine Art. So I've got all my items listed here, and I can see what I've done to sell those. Same thing there, click here. Now I've got a nice list of an item. So then if I click off, it will take me back to the other one. So I actually got to click in the visual there. So I click that, and now I've got my full report left. All right, so we're going to do one more here, and then we're going to actually send this thing out for publishing. All right, so I'm going to skinny this up a little bit. Now this one we're going to have to do a little work on. So this one we're going to do commission by salesperson. So we want to know how much is each salesperson making. All right, so we know in our commission table, if we look here, actually let's go here so we can see it. We've got who the person was, their name, all that good stuff, and we have a commission percentage, but we don't know what the amount was. So what we want to do is come in here and set that. So what we're going to try first is we're just going to add a column here and see what happens. So I'm going to do new column. And I'm going to grab this formula and I'm going to paste it in there. So same idea we just did on the sales amounts, we're going to do here, thinking that, if it worked over there, it should work here. So I'm doing a DAX expression of sum X, and I'm grabbing the sales headers, and total. So again, I mentioned DAX a couple times. This is just kind of introduction to it. We are looking to do something a little more advanced in that DAX language, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to click enter here. And you can see this is not what I wanted. So it shows me the same exact number all the way down. It's because of the way when you add a column, the way it tries to calculate, there's really nothing, there's no way for it to know which ones are you trying to pull here. So it's just giving me the total of sales headers and bringing them down. So what I'm going to actually do is use a measure for this. So I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to go under my commissions table, and I'm going to say new measure. So I'm creating a new measure, and we're going to call it sales amount. And I'm going to paste that in here just so you don't have to see me write it. And I've pasted that in there. So what we're telling it is a measure now can read against each row rather than trying to total up the whole thing. So I'm going to say enter. And now I've got this new column here, or this new field. So you notice if I come here, I've got the column that I created that was bad, and that's this one. I'm just going to leave it for an example. But we don't see that sales amount column here. And that's because we did it as a measure. So that measure sits here, and I can use it in reports, but it's not a part of the table data because it's kind of a living, breathing calculation. All right, so I've got that, and I think, no, I need one more. So I also need a new column for the actual commission amount. So I'm going to add one more column. And we're going to do another new column here. And we're going to pull this one in, commission amount equals. So we'll paste that in there. Maybe. There we go. Hit enter. It'll do its calculation. And there we go. So what this one actually gives us is the commission by month. And because we are using the measure, it allows me to actually calculate this correctly. All right, so back over here, let's actually build the report now. All right, so we're going to do a list page, or a table here. So I've got our table. Oops, undo that. You notice what happened there is I was still on the visual. We don't want that. We got to click off, then click our table format. There we go. And we're going to bring in our columns for this. So we're going to do name from our commission table. We're going to pull month. We're going to pull sales amount, our measure, and then the actual calculated commission. So there we go. We pull that in, and we got that working. Now, a couple things there. We notice we've got some decimals there that we maybe potentially want to change. Typically, I would say do this in Power Query, right? Create my columns there. I'm just kind of showing you both ways. So I can have it here, and I've got these, and I can come in and update this to be less or something if I need to be. But I can also do that in Power Query. Either way will work. But you notice I've got those long decimals. I can make those edits either in my data or in Power Query. All right, so there is my last report. And again, if I click here, I can see these reports changing over here. So I can tell who Christina is selling the most to and in which months she's doing it. All right, so we'll add one more little background here. Get our gray. All right, and now we have got our report built. So we basically took about, once we got the data prep, so what that prep work looked for me was maybe an hour to get that data ready. And then once I had that, I was able to build this in around 20 minutes. So once you've got the data prepped, that's why I always say that's the most important part. Getting the data prepped will make the rest of the time easier. All right, so we've got it built. So the last thing that we want to show today, and again, kind of crash coursing this, is publishing this out. So I'm going to publish this out so that I can share it with other people. So obviously I want to save my file. And I could share this in a couple different ways. One way is I could actually come out here to my folder where I saved it. Here it is. And I could actually send that off to somebody in an email or share the link in OneDrive, whatever it is. But remember, if I do that, this really isn't a living, breathing file anymore. It's just like if I shared an Excel file with somebody, or even if we're using it in a shared location. The problem is you might end up somebody might make a mistake and overwrite what you've been working so hard on. So let's publish this out. So I'm going to actually come out here to our apps.powerbi.com. Oh, I'm here. So here we are. And where we do this is in workspaces. So what I'm going to do is create a new one just so you see how this works. So let's just start from scratch. If I just go to app.powerbi.com, it brings me in, and here I am out on the Power BI home. Down here under workspaces, if I click that, here's all the workspaces I have access to, but we'll create a new one just for this example. So we'll give it a name, call it user group, give it a description. We'll come here to advanced. If we wanted to add people to this, we can. So I can say, let's add Chelsea, for example. We add Chelsea. You can turn it on as a premium capacity. My user doesn't have that, but if you were a Power BI Pro, you would want to turn that on. And then I'll hit save. All right, so I've created it. And if I go into my workspaces now, you can see there it is. There's the new one, user group. So now what I want to do is publish this. So I'm going to come back into my user group Power BI, where I've got my nice report. And I'm going to click publish. And it will pop open here in a second for us. Hopefully. There we go. So there it is. And I'm going to come under. So again, this matched up with what I had out on Power BI or apps.powerbi. I'm going to select my user group because that's the one I want. Hit select. And then it's going to do its thing here. It's going to spin for just a few moments as it publishes it. And I got success. So great. So I can say, got it. Now let's pop back over here to my Power BI, apps.powerbi, and lo and behold, in my user group, there is the report I just created. So I can click on it, and there it is for everyone to view. And there's my pages ready to go for someone to look at. And now from here, they could edit it from here if they're a pro user. They can subscribe to this so that it will send them a link anytime something new is published. They can add a comment. You can chat about it in Teams. We can share it a couple different ways through this. I mean, you can even create a QR code so as somebody scans it on their phone, that pops up for them. And I can save a copy, download it to this so I can use it in Power BI desktop, print it, all that good stuff right out here now that it's published for everyone to use. So that is what we wanted to cover today. So we looked at licensing. Hopefully you got your head wrapped around that. Again, really important with the prep data. I would suggest if you weren't on the Power Query webinar we did, to try to go check that out. Then we built our report and we published it. So we have run the whole loop here, and hopefully that shows you just kind of the power that Power BI can do and really how easy it is to create these visuals. All right, if you have questions, we'll be happy to take those. Thank you.
All right, great, Matt. Thanks for that information about Power BI reporting. Certainly was a lot of options and possibilities for a reporting tool that everyone sees. We do have a minute or two here for questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and drop that into the Q&A. We're definitely monitoring that as we need to. Matt, I believe you're on with us again. Let me change your role here. Well, Matt, I believe you're on with us, aren't you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there. Just two quick questions for you. So if if an organization wanted to receive just kind of full user training for all of their users on Power BI, do we at Trinsoft offer some sort of training classes or training program for that?
Yeah, we can we can do remote training or online. Typically, what I like to tell people is try to come up with some reports that you want to build, and then that's the best way to learn. So we can build those together as a group and learn that. If you're just looking for general training, we can definitely do that too. There's also lots of resources online if you search out there. But I like, normally a training, I like to have an end goal in mind. We build that together, and then hopefully at the end of that, you know how to build a report and you can do it.
Great. And then I know you hit quickly on the pricing structure, but can you remind us there's a free version, right? That's available. And then there's two different levels of,
Yes, it's actually the Power BI Pro, which is the $9.99 a month, and then the Power BI Premium per user, which I think that runs around like 25. I'm not off the top of my head, I'm not for sure, but it's somewhere in that range per user. And then there's a premium per capacity, which that one's for your real high level uh, reporting. And that one you actually works directly with Microsoft to get your pricing on. So
perfect. All right. Well, Matt, I don't see any other questions out here, so definitely appreciate your time on the webinar today, presenting that information for us. For those of you who are on the webinar, couple follow-up homework assignments here. Next steps first. Again, be sure to complete that evaluation as it comes out. Get that completed by Friday, so you'll be entered for that drawing next week. Secondly, if you have questions, if you're looking for support, if you're looking for help with Power BI, please contact Trinsoft. Please contact your technical resources. We'll get you connected to the right people to get that training set up, get those questions answered for you. Thirdly, give us a quick follow on social media. We're out there on Twitter at Trinsoft.com, Facebook, LinkedIn. Give us a follow or a like. We're posting all kinds of news updates, releases, webinars, and different information. And then finally, don't forget about our blog on Trinsoft.com, where we're continually putting information as well. All right, with that, we will wrap this session. Again, thanks everyone for joining our Power BI session today. Again, on behalf of the Trinsoft team, thank you to those of our clients in attendance for taking the time out of your day to participate in this event. We look forward to working with you and continuing to partner with you into the future. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your afternoon.